Benji, what are you doing for this Pesach? What are you doing for Passover?
Probably eating matzah.
A lot of matzah. Any matzah balls?
Yep.
Well, then you're in luck. There's a fantastic Pesach program in Israel by Keter Travel, owned and operated by Mike Smigel. You might know Mike.
Sure.
And it's at the Gome Hotel in Migdal, which is just north of Tveria, in Israel's beautiful and reopened north, where you just went on a tour with your son last week.
It's beautiful up there.
And it's going to be even more beautiful in the spring.
Yep.
It's going to be a fantastic Pesach program with scholars, with entertainment. There's a full board on Shabbat and Chag, half board on Chol HaMoed, direct access to the Kinneret. And if you're Jesus, you can walk on the Kinneret.
Why not?
Does Jesus get a discount, Mike? Mike Smigel, write us in if Jesus gets a discount. It would be great to hook him up with you. There's a daily lounge. I think that might be...
He could be the magician. He could be the entertainment.
what the Americans call a tea room. And there's programs for kids, early meals for kids. It has everything. And it is no kitniot with gebrachs.
No kitniot with... That's what you want.
Yeah, that means that old matzo balls, old Harold from Miami, is invited. He might be in the jacuzzi.
That's a callback to another one.
A callback to a previous episode. But anyway, Keter Travel at the Gome Hotel in Migdal. Contact Mike Smigel and order your rooms soon because it's filling up. So it's mikesmigel@gmail.com, MIKESMIGEL@gmail.com.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. And we're back. Hello, Benji.
Hi, Avi.
How's it going, man?
Doing well, thank God.
Feels like it's been a while.
Because it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
As the kids say, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. I was in the United States of America for a while, and you were in?
I've been in Israel.
I thought you were in Italy.
The 53rd state after Mexico and Canada.
Oh, you were in Italy.
I was in Italy for a short vacation.
You told me.
I was. It's true. I was in Italy. I wasn't lying. We had a short vacation in Italy. It was terrific.
Mm-hmm.
It was very nice. It's kind of... Before we get to all this personal stuff, I think we should immediately discuss the amazing events in Israel today. We are recording this the evening that 3 hostages have been returned to Israel. Romy Gonen, Emily Damari, and Doron Steinberger. 3 female hostages. Everyone knows this by the time we're listening to this podcast, who have been released. They're in good condition. They were reunited with their families. And that is, of course, very, very good news.
It was amazing to see them in the whole country.
We just watched it. Yeah, Benji and I, you and me, just watched the video of them being reunited in the hospital with their families.
And it's something I found myself crying at different points all day. And the truth is, I haven't even, I don't know what it says about me. I haven't focused that much on the hostages.
Yeah.
Like, it's been other things during the war that have most of my attention, but it is so
having a
wonderful to see.
Soldier son in the war.
Part of that, yeah.
Yeah, our trip to Italy was cut short. Not for all of us. We stayed. My wife and my younger son stayed, but our older son, who was a soldier, Yoav, went home early because a friend of his was killed. Right. And so he went home a day early. By the way, we got excellent treatment from Israel in Rome, who put him on the first flight back, refused to charge us anything, also helped us the next day checking in because the change was to the whole group's ticket, and really, really considerate treatment. As soon as they heard why he was going back, treated him like a first-class passenger. And Israel does not have first class. So they had to be... they had to imagine what it would be like to treat a passenger as if he were in first class.
Now that they tried it, maybe they'll institute first class.
Yeah, he was... they were really good. I guess the manager of the Rome Israel station. Shout out to Elad. Hanoch Daum does that, by the way. He it's the opposite of faming, I think it's called. Yeah, that's what we're doing here for Israel.
And Elad.
And Elad in Israel. So today, that's a small but good thing. And today, huge good thing. But there's a lot of mixed emotions today. Certainly for the hostages who are still there. Hamas is torturing us by trickling them out. And now we have to wait. We don't know who's alive and who's dead. We're a little bit afraid that the fact that the youngest hostages were not released today might mean that they're not alive. The Bibas kids, which
Didn't Hamas, I mean, they announced their
they
dead.
had, but we never confirmed it, and they didn't follow it up. Right? You and I have been talking about that the whole time. How maybe we didn't.
I don't remember discussing this with you.
Maybe not on the podcast, but we also talk off the podcast.
Oh, but I don't pay attention when we do that. What did you say?
I didn't say anything except that Israel's never confirmed. When
Okay.
Hamas announced it, Israel
I don't
said
know,
they had
but
no
I don't
information
think.
about
I don't
it.
think they. I mean, they lie
They're
about
on the list.
they lie about everything, but I don't think they've lied about this sort of thing yet.
Sure, they have.
About them being.
Yeah.
Oh
They're-
yeah. Oh, maybe they have.
They
Yeah,
have.
you're right. Okay.
They
Well, let's hope and pray.
Palestinian Arab culture specifically, and Arab culture in general, Arab Muslim culture, does not put the same exact value on truth that Western culture does. It's
Okay.
more of a. It's true. It's just a different value assignment to objective truth. It's much more subjective. So when you say they're lied about it, they would not say that they lied about it. You get a lot more leeway in that culture. Also with murder, a lot more leeway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Some people are post-Zionist, Benji.
Yeah.
I'm post-Palestinian.
What do you mean?
And I don't care about them at all anymore.
The problem is they care about you.
No, they don't.
I mean, they
wanna-
think about you.
Oh, I mean,
they want to destroy you.
Oh,
They
that's
want
fine.
their land back as they see it, and they, generation to generation to generation, get more entrenched in
So
their views.
whereas in the past,
I'm saying you can't not think about them.
No, whereas in the past I had some sympathy for their standpoint, now I have
Mhm.
none. That's what the past year has done.
You and
to-
the rest of the country.
I don't know about the rest of the country, but I have basically none. I'm talking about
I hear very liberal people.
I'm talking about Palestinian Muslims. I have patience for Palestinian Christians and sympathy for them.
I understand. You don't know, meaning you used to have sympathy for their national aspirations,
Yes,
and you don't
even-
anymore.
correct,
Or
yes.
you used to have sympathy when they would actually feel pain or be hurt or be blown up, and you
I
don't
still have
anymore.
human feelings for human beings, no matter what they are. But as a group, I heard, what's the name of the comedian? I always forget his name. Michael Rappaport, the actor.
He seems like an idiot. Yeah,
I wouldn't say that at all.
I mean, just because you agree with him doesn't mean he's not
I
an
don't know
idiot.
if I agree with him.
Okay.
But he said something that's humorous and true. He's talking about anti-Palestinianism, I think it is. Palestinianism. He is anti-Palestinianism.
I mean, to counter all the anti-Zionists.
Well, I think what he's saying is that there's no such thing as Palestinianism. In other words, there is no, and there's a lot to that. I'm a big fan of Einat Wilf,
Yeah, you told me.
Dr. Einat Wilf, and Dr. Haviva Tagore.
Yeah.
Just got an honorary doctorate from the podcast.
These are your heroes.
just-
I got it. Yeah.
No. I've been.
Well, this Einat Wolf character.
Yeah.
I used to listen to you when you'd pontificate and think, oh, I disagree with almost everything you say, but at least it's original. And then
you saw
someone
all
forwarded me a
derivative.
podcast from this lady, and basically you got all your stuff from her.
By the way, nice Rome reference with pontificate. I went to visit the pontiff at the Vatican,
I wasn't talking about Rome.
but you said pontificate.
That's just a word.
Of course, the pontiff
Yeah.
is the pope.
That's true.
That is a big place, the
Thing is,
Vatican.
the Pope is infallible, but when you pontificate, you're typically very fallible.
Right. Does that mean if a pope played baseball, that means he couldn't hit a foul ball? We just cut 90 seconds of dead time. Benji's vocal cords were paralyzed.
Let's go back. A little structure here.
Yes.
We're both excited and happy about the hostages. The deal
Yes.
is...
I don't like to call it a deal. I like to call it a forced exchange. It's not a deal.
Forced by whom? By Trump?
No, by the people who kidnap people at gunpoint.
Okay. So what do I have to call it for you?
Forced exchange.
Okay, so a lot of people are happy about the forced exchange.
That's what it is.
That we're getting some of our people back, hopefully all of our people back.
That's a huge victory for Israel, a huge victory for the IDF and the other security forces, and
Yeah, I mean, I
something
think
we should be very happy about.
My understanding is that Hamas reached the point where they agreed to this, what are we calling it?
Forced exchange.
Forced exchange, in large part because of the military pressure.
Yes.
and also the fact that we've, destroyed their allies.
Yeah.
And we also, I think that there was a lot of pressure that Trump himself put on.
So people are saying that, put on them.
No, they couldn't care less about Trump. Meaning the Qatar cares about Trump. There's no more what do you say, all hell will rain down on Gaza. There's no more hell to rain down on Gaza. There's not much more.
There's always more hell to rain down.
Okay, take a walk in Gaza.
There's still a little more.
The only thing left was the tents. And apparently a lot of beautiful Toyota trucks that they were keeping in some tunnel.
On that point,
did you see those trucks?
I did. I saw the truck. I just want to say that it was tragic today that thousands of Palestinians died today of starvation just before the humanitarian aid trucks could reach them, the increased aid. Really tragic, except, of course, that no Palestinians have ever died since 1948 of starvation in Israel or the occupied territories.
Okay.
I challenge any of our listeners to find one.
You're lucky we don't have that many listeners, because
the accusation of starvation is a blood libel, pure and simple. And anyone who participated in it would have accused Jews of poisoning the wells, of murdering Christian children on Passover, using blood for matzah.
Well, it's good that Ben-Gvir didn't get his way, and we didn't withhold
I'm not a lot of
fan. I'm saying, and we didn't withhold aid, because then maybe some would have starved.
No, none would have starved.
To pontificate.
None would have starved. None would have starved.
None would have starved, meaning it would have. They would have eaten sand.
There's plenty of food.
It's just
plenty of food.
Where does it grow there?
There's food in the tunnels. They stored years of food.
Okay.
There's nowhere close to starvation, and we wouldn't have starved anybody because we don't starve people. It's a very emotional evening tonight. Let's get back to the Donald. You're talking about the Donald. President Donald J. Trump.
My understanding is that he sort of laid down the law with Bibi. Now, I think that I don't know what happened in this conversation between this other real estate mogul that he has. Yeah. Is he Jewish?
I was just going to ask you, is he Jewish?
I meant to Google that 1,000 times, but I got busy doing other things.
Google Wittikoff Jew. How do you Google if someone's Jewish? Do you like to do the name and then Jew?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
But the internet, you can't trust it on that one.
Wittikoff is Jewish, was born in the Bronx in New York City. That's so unusual for a Jew to be born in New York City.
That's weird.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
And was raised in Baldwin Harbor, New York, and Old Westbury, New York on Long Island, which is where I like to buy clothes, off 5th.
Baldwin Harbor?
No, Westbury. But this is Old Westbury. I don't know
anything about that. All I'm saying is, my understanding is that he came in and laid down the law. In fact, Hamas thanked him for making this happen.
Really?
Yes.
I missed that.
You could look that up too. They attributed it all to him. So they were,
Wittikoff.
Anyway, it's interesting to me that
Witkoff, not Wittikoff, just Witkoff.
Were so on the right, or the extreme right here, who were so excited about Trump coming in, forgot that Trump's number one priority is Trump, and he did not want there, as I believe I said, he did not want there to be a war when he came into office, and so he said, "Stop the war." And I would have loved to see these people's reactions if Biden had pressured Bibi into ending the war. And we would have been calling him an anti-Semite and a Sona Israel and on and on and on.
Well, I don't think that
but when
Joe Biden
is not
okay. Nobody calls him an anti-Semite.
They would call him an anti-Semite.
Nobody thinks Joe Biden is an anti-Semite.
Whatever they would say, he is an enemy of ours and is doing incredible harm to us. He is forcing. They already said that about the fact that he wanted a little flour to get into Gaza. Or that he held up 2 bombs out of 2 million bombs he provided to us. So in this case, I think they would have attacked him. And because it's Trump, he got a pass. Now, it's possible within that threat, there was also a carrot of things we don't know about.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I was thinking about that. They said it to what's it? Carry a carrot and a big stick?
No, they don't say that.
What do they say?
There's a carrot and there's a stick.
But
there's also the big stick,
So what I do is just carry a really long carrot.
Nice.
So it does both. It's like the Swiss Army knives of incentives. I carry this. Carrot. Yeah, the Swiss Army knife of metaphoric incentives. The long carrot.
I've seen people on the right here. Their mind exploded. I watched Channel 14 here.
You should not watch Channel 14,
which is basically like Fox News.
It's one channel too far. Didn't channels only go to 13?
It's Fox News on steroids.
There didn't used to be Channel 14 on old TVs.
I don't know what there was. Oh no, there wasn't. No. But anyway, it's interesting to me. Like this deal happened really because Trump applied pressure that Biden was never willing or
I would like to address
comfortable applying.
I would like to address that. First of all, how do we know what happened in a meeting at which only Witkoff and Netanyahu were present?
Those are the reports I read.
Answer.
I think Wall Street Journal wrote it. What they wanted to come out of the meeting came out of the meeting. Was leaked from the meeting. Okay.
So first of all, that someone leaked that on purpose. Second of all, so we don't know what happened in the meeting at all.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, I think it's much more rational to assume that Trump clearly wanted, and so does everyone. I mean, so does everyone normal want hostages to be released.
Not everyone wanted this deal.
Okay. So
in fact, a lot of the country is still upset about it.
Trump, what I've always said about Trump is he has normal feelings. I don't agree with the people who have these like extreme psychological diagnoses of him. He loves his family, all of his families. He loves all of his children from all the marriages. I can't keep track. He's good to his family. He's good to his wives, present and former.
Yeah.
And good to his mistresses.
He's
even
good to his former wives.
Yeah, he had good relations with his former wife. With
Marla Maples.
I don't know about her, but
Ivanka.
Yeah.
You don't have to build up Trump as a moral person.
No, it's not
you sound
exactly,
ridiculous.
But he cares about human beings. He cares about other human beings that are close to him.
Maybe not. Okay.
I really think he does.
I don't know.
He's a pretty normal person in that way.
Doesn't seem like it to me. Go on.
And anyway, so I think it's much more reasonable to assume that he offered Israel lots of good things and said, if you don't do the deal now, you won't get those things. This is on the table now.
Okay.
And if you don't say yes now, that's possible.
That's possible.
That's as far as I'll go. He didn't threaten Israel anymore. Why would you think that?
I don't know.
But people on the left love it. They think that Bibi was bent over the table. Can we say that on this podcast? By Trump, by Witkoff. And
this was a deal meaning it's a deal that crosses, no matter what Bibi says, crosses red lines.
No, it does not.
He wouldn't cross.
Does not.
Meaning we're supposed to give up the Philadelphia
only
corridor.
In the second stage.
Okay, that's not something that he's willing to do.
The second stage only happens if Hamas agrees to surrender as the rulers of Gaza.
Okay, let me tell you a thing or two about a thing.
And to disarm.
Yeah, Bibi's talking like, then we'll just go back to war, full on war. Trump has to agree to that. Trump cares about Trump.
Trump does not have to agree.
May I finish?
Yes.
Trump cares about Trump. And Trump did not, he wanted to be one who ended this war and got the hostages. And he doesn't like, actually, foreign wars. He doesn't think they're necessary on some level. And they bother him. They bother his golf game, maybe. Mm-hmm. And so that means that when we want to go back to war, he could say no.
He could.
And when he says no, we say, okay.
Let's see.
No, we do. We have to.
Like the invasion of Rafah?
What about it?
When the U.S. said no?
We did not take Biden as seriously because we knew that Biden in the end would fold.
No,
Trump, we're actually worried about.
He didn't fold. He didn't. What? He didn't.
The U.S. said no.
What's Trump
and we
do?
wore them down, and we did it, and it's good we did it. But when it comes to Trump, it's going to be different.
I think that Israel still has the freedom to make its own decisions about its own defense, and
You're
we'll
silly.
do so.
You're a silly little man.
Okay,
no, I'm saying, how could you say that?
Because we did it last. We did
the fact that we did it doesn't mean we can always do it, irrespective of who the president is. When it's President J.D. Vance, you're going to learn this the hard way.
I am?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Because he doesn't like us.
Why not?
Because he's a normal Republican right-winger who thinks that they shouldn't be involved in any foreign wars and there shouldn't be any foreign aid because everything should stay internal, America first. That's what they all believe.
Okay.
Trump has, for some reason, this idea, okay, for Israel, make an exception. Let's hope that continues.
I'm not as pessimistic as you are.
Okay.
I've heard people talk about the timing. You just referenced it a few moments ago, the timing of the deal. And some people here, and I want to address this. I prepared a few points that I wanted to address.
Oh, nice. For once.
Yeah. They're not funny points. They're
okay. Thank God.
At least not on purpose. Yep. So one of them is that that this deal has been Ronen Bergman, who I have no respect for whatsoever. Nothing I've ever seen him write is accurate. Some things are patently absurd and display total ignorance. And he's just one of the people who I've read talking about how, and it pains me even to say this, but that this deal could have been done in May, and going so far as to say that the soldiers who've been killed since then or injured, it was not necessary. In other words, it was a waste. It was in vain. It was for no reason.
He wrote that?
Yes. Okay. That's a disgusting thing to say. Yeah. The only reason that these 3 hostages, and God willing, more will get out over the next several weeks, is because of the sacrifice of the soldiers and because of the position that the IDF and the other security agencies have put us in, the good situation, and which I think also God has helped put us in. And I'll tell you what I mean. If this deal had been done in May, let's say that the same deal, the same terms of this forced exchange were in some document in May. The people signing it would be Ismail.
They were. I mean, it's a very similar
Ismail
deal.
Haniya, Yahya Sinwar, Mohammed Def. They were all alive. Hassan Nasrallah and all of the commanders of Hezbollah.
Right.
Bashar Assad still in Syria.
Yep.
And Iran still in a very strong position vis-a-vis Israel prior to the attack and the counterattack by us on them in October that put them in a very weak position. Israel was in an incomparably weaker strategic situation in May, and this deal only became possible when those things happened, all of them. Bashar Assad potentially was not necessary for it to happen, but the other ones were. And also because of a little thing called the re-election of President Trump, which and his threat to rain down all hell on Hamas if a deal wasn't done by his inauguration.
Yes, I don't. But first of all, I agree.
And
we
agree. Pressure on
we
Qatar.
agree here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the threat of raining down all hell on the Gazans impact. I don't think it impacts Hamas. It impacts Qatar. Like he's talking about, like they're enablers.
I think it impacts Hamas too.
I don't think there's any more hell to rain down there.
There is certainly.
Where? What?
There certainly is.
No, like what to hit the tent cities? Like what?
To all kinds of things.
Like, tell me one of those things.
The United States has weapons that can penetrate deeper underground than Israel has, and they could be used. They could let Israel really evacuate all the civilians from all of the areas in which Hamas operates, and then use those weapons. He could send American soldiers into Gaza.
He would never do that.
How about never? Never say never.
Never.
And
not him.
For example, I don't know. I could think of other things.
Okay.
He could cut aid.
I think we're generally in agreement. I think that this idea that I've heard it also, like that we could have done this in May. Like things were very different in May.
Yeah.
And I think it was important that
things
we had
these
miraculous victories. Actually, like I think they're going to write about these.
It looks like Megillat Esther.
Megillat Esther.
All these things that happen. Sinwar was killed in a non-targeted operation.
Right.
The beeper operation, according to some press reports, was initiated. Although I might have read this in Ronen Bergman, so it might not be true. It was
it's wrong.
Because people suspected
right.
I've read that. And so then, really, God initiated that operation.
God does everything.
And what else? Then Iran decided to attack. That's kind of like Paro hardening his heart and refusing to let the Jews go. And as they made an irrational calculation in attacking in October.
Yeah.
They made a big mistake. Well, they overplayed their hand.
I don't think they suspected we had the intelligence or the capabilities that we had.
All right.
Yeah.
But they should have.
No one here did. Meaning, I think like 99.9% of Israelis were shocked that war with Hezbollah did not lead to
I'm one of them.
Destruction.
The beeper, and then the walkie-talkies, and then but even more than that, the Air Force strike on their weapons stores. That's, I think, the most important single thing.
We agree about a lot tonight.
It's amazing.
I think we agree about here. I'll tell you everything we agree about and everything we don't agree about.
It could be the agreements are stemming from that we're drinking red wine. The
what
second
kind of
bottle,
wine?
second bottle given to us
From
the podcast that we recorded.
Yes,
with Alex Haruni from Daltone Winery.
Yeah,
delicious. It really is delicious.
It's really good. Yeah. Beautiful label too. By the way, I've been talking about that podcast all the time.
The red wine, the wine one?
It makes me seem so smart. I ask people, what's the greatest differentiator between like good wine and bad wine? And it's basically like the number of grapes on the vine. Nobody knows that, but I know it.
Yeah.
And I feel so superior all the time.
You learned it on the podcast.
Exactly. Now, what do we agree about? We agree about a lot, actually. We agree that we're conflicted somewhat about the deal itself. Sorry, whatever you want to call it, the forced
exchange,
force majeure, whatever. We also are excited and happy about what's happening, that the hostages are getting out.
Thank
you know, I don't like Smotrich and Ben-Gvir. I despise. Like, I wish they would transfer him somewhere. Really. Him and all his friends there that are lighting up the West Bank tonight.
I really don't like Ben-Gvir.
But Smotrich put out a tweet, I think it was, that said how happy he was that the hostages are back. And I was watching Channel 12, and they were like making fun of him, you know, like, you were against the deal. Like, well, he's so happy. That's ridiculous. Like, you could be against the deal, but happy that hostages came back. Not Ben-Gvir, I'm talking about Smotrich.
Oh.
Ben-Gvir, I don't want to talk about it.
No, what if Smotrich was happy?
Happy that the hostages came home.
Yes.
It was, you could be against the deal,
he
but
was happy.
Yeah, but I'm saying they were making fun of him. Hey, you wouldn't have even wanted this deal. Now, that's like so short. That's such a myopic view of the whole thing. Meaning, and I actually have had a problem with like.
And don't you hear you're a little bit defending Smotrich, or at least
I'm defending people who are against the deal, but happy to have our people back.
Okay,
I mean, it's natural.
Wow,
and I think that it's rational to be against the deal. We have enough history behind us that like letting terrorists out en masse could be a problem, right? And we need still to somehow destroy Hamas and make sure they're not there. I don't know how we do that.
Yeah. Amazing how they all found their uniforms.
I was thinking that
none of them had uniforms. They've been hiding in the civilian population the entire time. Not a single one wore a uniform.
No, they did on October 7th.
But after
they kept them nice and pressed. And then they brought them out today. I actually, you know, I probably told you this, that I had an idea, like a PR stunt that we should bring in trucks full of uniforms for them.
To wear.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Help us out.
It would have been a good one. So I wanted to say something about the Palestinian people, the Palestinian Muslim.
Nothing controversial, I hope.
Well, let's see. The people accuse people who are sometimes accuse others of dehumanizing Palestinians. I think maybe even you may have.
People here dehumanize the Palestinians.
So this is what I want to say about dehumanization. The Nazis dehumanized the Jews. In fact, when you go to Yad Vashem, one of the first rooms on the tour that you do is about how is evidence of how they did that way, comparing them to lice and to vermin and to mosquitoes, bloodsucker. They're really making them and drawing them as not human or as animals essentially.
Yeah. And
I think that helped them in their formal extermination of the Jews, carry out that plan and convincing civilians to support it. Yeah. And Germans really believed it. Germans and their helpers in other countries really believed that the Jews were subhuman. Not human. Some other species. Literally another species. So that's what dehumanization means. Saying that someone or a culture is the most barbaric, animal-like culture. And when I say something is animal-like, you're behaving like an animal. You're eating like a pig. I'm not dehumanizing you. I am accusing you of behaving like a bad human. You're acting like an animal. You're acting like a monster. Even when I say you're a monster, I'm not making you into a monster. I'm saying you're acting like a monster. So when I'm not dehumanizing you, I'm humanizing you. I'm holding you responsible as a human being for your actions.
You're stereotyping all of them.
No,
in saying that they're all the same. They all share these traits.
I may or may not be doing.
I'm saying they all share these traits of acting animalistically. Is that a word? An animal?
Yeah. When I say that the society as a whole doesn't mean I'm saying every single person does that. When I say that, I'm trying to think of a country that's cultured. The Japanese have a very high culture. Of course, there are some depraved Japanese people.
Definitely.
Yeah. So no offense to depraved Japanese people.
No.
But so I may or may not be stereotyping. That's another question, a separate question. But I'm talking about dehumanization. So let's say I'm talking about one Palestinian. Okay, when I call them an animal, doesn't mean I'm dehumanizing them. I'm saying they're acting like an animal.
Okay.
And it's very important to do that. It's just like it's important to say that to accuse the Nazis of behaving like animals. I'm not dehumanizing them. I'm judging them. And I'm judging them as terrible specimens of human beings. So I'm sick of hearing about the accusation of dehumanizing Palestinians. They want to murder your children in their beds.
That's also true.
And that's who we live next to here. And that's they can't imagine that that's true. It's impossible that that's true, but that's true. That's who we live next to here. That is the level of depravity that they've brought themselves to.
Anywhere in a bad neighborhood.
We should move to Gaza.
This is all too much.
Yeah.
This is all too much.
Benji, what's your funny story that you wanted to share?
Well, it's not funny. It's pathetic.
I'm not prejudging it. Yeah.
First of all, when you look at me now, look at me.
Really
see me. Do I look healthy?
Yeah. You look all right.
Okay. You're not particularly perceptive.
Oh, you look fine.
Today and right now, I am passing kidney stones.
I thought you were going to say you're passing something else. We're in a closed room here. You have kidney stones?
I was in the emergency room, or miyun in Hebrew, all day today.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But it was beautiful because Mayor Hospital has a brand new emergency room. Have you been there?
Maybe not since it's brand new.
It's gorgeous.
Emergency.
And I had a very handsome doctor, a French guy. But it was, anyway, I'm going through a lot and I'm taking a lot of like opioids right now.
Oh, you're on drugs as we record this?
Tons. Yeah. Which is why I'm not getting as annoyed with you as I usually would.
Oh.
I have a lot of patience.
What do you want? So does the gorgeous French doctor.
I don't know what I'm on.
He has a lot of patience.
So anyway, I'm physically very fragile.
Yeah. Okay.
Right now, I have like a lot happening inside me.
Benji, I am a handsome French doctor. Your kidneys are fine, but I've scheduled you for a colonoscopy.
Why do you have to go
because he's a handsome French doctor.
No, there's something weird about this. Have you ever had this with kidney stones?
No, thank God. No, I'm scared to death of them.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling that this thing is like trying to make its way through you, like in a clumsy. It's like a drunk driver in your body. Just banging into things. It's horrible. So there you go. I'm going through that.
Don't they like beam sonic waves at it to break it down?
Not for me. No. No, they just sent me away with drugs. So yeah, that's happening internally. And then I had also, I guess you would say like, I had a little bit of a weird situation that happened to me mentally. Yeah. Like, so today is what, Sunday?
I have mental kidney stones sometimes. It's like a joke. Like
I really do. I'll explain what happened.
Malformed
this was
joke.
Actually a funny, pathetic story. So you know that I have a friend.
I did not know that.
Yips. Fewer and fewer though. But so a high school classmate of mine became super famous.
Yeah.
He was a Hollywood director. He is a Hollywood director.
I know what you're talking about.
His name was, we called him Benji, but Ben Younger, he's known as. Coolest guy in the world. He is a pilot. He's also he races motorcycles.
Wow. With his plane or on another motorcycle?
I don't know. He directs Hollywood movies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so
that's a great showbiz reference.
Yeah, the king and I. So he is in Israel, and someone.
Why is he not here being interviewed, Benji?
I got to call him. Anyway,
man.
So
don't miss him.
A couple high school friends start a WhatsApp group with him, like, "Hey, let's see Benji."
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be next week, but I'm not going to be here.
He's here for a long time.
He's here for a while. He's doing. I forget what he's doing, but he's doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not able to make it if they're going to have that reunion. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I WhatsApped him privately because I know he's in Tel Aviv, and so I figured, I'll see him. So I texted him hey, I'm going to be in Tel Aviv. This was on Wednesday. Do you want to have lunch? And he's like, Benji? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, sure. That'd be great. Then it turned out I wasn't going to Tel Aviv. So then I was like, okay, maybe we'll do dinner.
Maybe you might go special to see.
Well, that's what I decided to do. I said, I'm going to come into Tel Aviv. He told me where he is. It's like the corner of Ben Gurion and Dizengoff. And
there is such a corner.
Yes. So, and that's where he is. And so I drove into Tel Aviv. I never really do that.
Wow. It's an outing.
Yeah. It was nice. I wore like a nice sweater. I dressed up really good as my Hollywood friends. So and then I had an only in Israel situation where it took me a half an hour to park after I was at the lot. I don't know if you know about places like this. Do you know about this?
No.
You basically, there's a line of cars to get in. It's a small lot, but it's underground a little bit. You can't see what's happening in there. And there's a wall on either side of the car, so you can't move. And it only lets one car in at a time as a car leaves.
That's very efficient.
Okay, so I was texting him.
Sounds like it's owned by a New York Jew.
I'm WhatsApping him. I'm so sorry. Like, it's this crazy thing. And then when I got in there, I finally made it in. There was no spot. So I don't know where the guy who left came from. And I kept going back around and around. So the next car is looking at me every time as they see my car coming.
And all this time you have a kidney stone.
Not yet. No, that was a few days later. Finally get there. I go there. I'm like finding him. He gave me his location. I said, so basically I write to him. I'm writing back and forth. And he said, well, what do you want? Do you want to eat or you want to have drinks? Or whatever.
Maybe just meet in my car.
No. So I said, I said, I'm up for anything. I wrote. And then I wrote the next one was, well, almost anything, smiley face. Now, why I wrote that, I don't know. Like, because I was like, that's a funny little thing to write. Like, I'm not for anything. Like, it's not Hollywood here. Like, I don't know.
Like, you're not for me a movie.
I've seen the
role.
movies. All right. So I go to where the location is, and I go to the restaurant, and I'm looking, and there's tons of people on the sidewalk, sort of in these at these tables eating, and I don't see him. I don't see him right away. And then someone waves at me, like sheepishly waving, and I
never seen a sheep wave.
Yeah. I go, and he looks like vaguely familiar, and I go over to him and I'm like, hi, oh, I know you. Like, hey, it was someone that I was in a tour guide course with.
Wow, that takes us back
11 years ago. Yeah. And I actually did not remember what his name is. I remember being friends with the guy. This was like 11, 12 years ago. Anyway, his name is Benji.
You went to see the wrong Benji?
The whole time.
That happened to me. You remember did I tell you that story?
The whole time I'm communicating with the wrong Benji.
The exact same story happened to me. I didn't say it on the podcast.
I don't know.
There's two guys named Jay, and I texted the wrong, well, not the wrong one.
But you met him?
And same exact thing happened. I wanted to meet,
That's why we have a podcast together.
I wanted to meet Jay number one.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm texting him, and he's like, okay, I'll meet you. I'm like, yeah, it's really important. He's like, oh, okay. I'm like, how about Zach's, which is a bakery here in Rhode
you love that.
At 9 o'clock. And he's like, sure. And then I get there at 9 o'clock. And then this other guy named Jay, who I know, he's in front of me online. And he's like, hey, Avi, can I get you a coffee? And I'm thinking to myself, it's really nice, but he doesn't have to get me a coffee. Does he offer that to everyone?
But how did you play it? Like you wanted to.
And then in a second, I'm like, oh no. And then I look at my WhatsApp and I texted him. But the thing is, I had him under the wrong last name. It's so maybe not quite as bad.
Well,
I had entered him in my phone wrong to begin with.
Okay. I never knew this guy's last name. I never barely knew his first name. I guess I knew it at some point. It is Benji. And and then I'm wondering why he thinks I'm there because but I wasn't sitting down. I was not sitting and joining him. I was just talking to him
as Gay or Benji.
And he said to me,
so now this is almost anything that has now innuendo.
A little bit of because I told him right away what happened because he said something like, were you expecting someone else? And I was like, yes, I was. And then I decided we're going to have a great time. We spent 2.5 hours together. I learned all about gay Tel Aviv, everything about it. It's interesting. And I asked him, were you expecting this to be a thing? He's like, no, I had no idea. I didn't know what you wanted, what this was. But then you wrote you're up for almost anything. I thought, yeah, maybe, But I was like, no, I didn't mean that. And then he said to me, well, who's the other guy? Because I felt bad.
Right.
It's like, who's the other guy? Like the other Benji. I'm like, he's just like this Hollywood director. It's no big deal. I much prefer to be with you. And we had a great time anyway. It was very very funny. I paid because I felt so bad.
Yeah.
And we're still in touch now.
I guess that eventually happens. That never used to happen. It only happens because of phones and contacts. Like that can happen now. You know
I guess, it wouldn't happen otherwise.
No.
There were hints in there when I look back that I was off because he said something.
He said, like, what are you wearing?
No, he said, my flat is here. So why would my Benji
have a flat?
Call it a flat?
Or even have a flat?
Why, he could stay in an apartment. I don't know. He's here for a little while. So anyway, it was a really weird experience and we had such a nice time.
Yeah. All right. So who knows? Maybe it's for the better.
Yeah, then I got the kidney stones.
Right.
So all the fun and games stopped.
I
want, if you could daven for me, I would appreciate it.
All right, I will.
Yeah. By the way, that whole Asher Yatzer thing,
it's important.
I'm saying it like crazy now. I'm saying it aspirationally. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
no pun intended.
No.
All right. That is an interesting. I think we should end it there, Benji.
But what's sad is like you should have beaten me tonight.
What are you talking about?
Like I'm so off my game.
On the contrary,
I'm in pain. I'm on drugs.
The opioids have centered you.
I've been mentally wounded by my stupidity in Tel Aviv. My big night.
But you finally reached my level.
What's I wore this.
I never told you that story.
You might have. I don't listen when it's not on the podcast.
Yeah. And even then. Yeah. All right. How was it getting out of the parking lot?
Quick.
It's quick.
It's no big deal. You're making, by the way,
anticlimactic.
Sometimes if you were to leave somewhere, a normal place, and everyone's happy, you'd be like, oh, that's not nice. This is the one place you leave and you're making so many people happy. Another car comes in.
That's nice. Yeah. That is nice.
Are you in Tel Aviv a lot?
Not about a lot. I'm there from time to time.
It's like Sodom and Gomorrah.
I don't know, but there's a Gomorrah?
Yep. People learning on the street.
It's not. I don't know what you're talking about. It's very nice.
It is nice. Yeah.
It's a beautiful city. I really like it. It's really like a city. Sometimes I regret not having moved there, that I don't have a flat in Tel Aviv. Yeah. It's nice. I was always worried. You and I used to go there. We would go see comedy at the stand-up places.
Yes. That was my one time there.
No, we did it more than once.
Yeah, 2 times.
And more than once, maybe twice. And I was always concerned that, they were building so many buildings. Like, so many tall buildings. Like, was anyone like making sure the floor was strong enough to hold up all those buildings? And that ends up being a metaphor. The floor wasn't strong enough.
Really?
I mean, metaphorically in Israel.
But actually, physically, it is.
Yeah, physically, I think
meaning that they're not sinking.
Not as far as I know.
Okay, got it.
On that note, Benji.
What? I don't understand the metaphor. Down. Things are falling apart here?
They did. I mean, I'm talking about pre-October 7th. Yeah, we were building up, but we weren't looking down into the tunnels being built.
May we have good news, Besorot Tovot, as we say.
Amen, amen. May all of our kidnapped people be returned to us.
Amen.
Healthy and to their families and live happy lives. And may that be true also for all the soldiers. May they live happy lives.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Say, for our English listeners, that's amen. Yep. And Benji, may you have good health.
Thank you.
May all your stones be obliterated.
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Nice. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.